Hello, everybody. It's the Pearlo Wisdom Show. Back from my holidays. You can go find me on TikTok. I got some. Check this out. Check this out. You can go to my TikTok. I did one of this. Can you guys see that? That's a little native dude. I was in. Where was that? I was in Lake Louise, and I did a little Pearlo dance with the native dude there. Check it out. Go check it out. If you have TikTok, it's Pearlo Wisdom. Just search Pearlo Wisdom, and you can become one of my followers. It was great. We had a great time, man. Good times. Had lots of fun. I got way more to put out. If you got TikTok, go check it out. No, I don't know how to do the Discord thing. I got to learn how to do that. I tried it one time and it didn't work. I don't even know what it does. Yeah, I got to try it again because apparently it helps out a lot. What does Discord do? Like I can talk to you all the time or something? Or what does that do? Anyways, yeah, the big story just happened right now, didn't it? Oh, how you doing? You're on the road for 12 hours? Where are you heading? Oh, that's a bunch of... I believe, Lauren, that is a bunch of nonsense. I don't care about that at all. Doesn't matter. The dude's American that owns it anyways, but I wouldn't care anyways. Can't hurt me, so... Nobody can hurt me. Nobody. Especially about a TikTok device. I don't care. Where are you going? Back home to Toronto? From where? 12 hours? Where the heck are you? 12 hours. So you're a day away. You're a 12-hour drive away. So that's not that far. I mean, I suppose for Canada anyways. Yeah, I got to figure out how to do Discord. Maybe I'll ask John. Yeah, he has one. I'll ask John. Thanks for doing that. Anyways, do you tell me where? North Bay to London. Okay. I went through North Bay. Their police officers are crazy there. You're getting a car next month. Nice. I didn't know you didn't have a car. Go ahead. Don't worry about it. What was I going to say? Oh, I think they're just raising the price for Boston. They may raise the price out of Boston's territory, because I know Taylor Hall wants to be in that area, Toronto. He's from Ontario. Oh, you live in North Bay. Okay. Oh, 2022 Kia Soul. Wow. That's pretty fancy there, buddy. Nice. So your cottage is 12 hours away? Wow. That's a long ways away to have a cottage. Just 1 second. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. I had to close something. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about that. I honestly think Duncan Keith is better than people think, for one. I think people are not... I watched a lot of Chicago last year. I thought Duncan Keith played pretty well. However, $5 million plus That's a little hard to take, I think. They're getting rid of Jones because I think they were going to be, he was probably going to get picked up by Seattle anyways. But I still, it's hard for me to say because it's Edmonton. A lot of people don't want to play in Edmonton. People will say, well, they could have used the cap space to go get free agents, but that's not necessarily the truth. Not many free agents want to go to Edmonton. I'm sorry, but they don't. So it may be that they saw what was out there and that they weren't going to get a chance at many free agents, if any. Barry obviously didn't want to come back or it's going to be overpriced. So they went with Duncan Keith, who does bring a whole bunch of cups to the room, which I think can be a good value. But yeah, I think Keith is still a pretty good player, actually. I think people are going to be surprised. The fact, even though he's 37, 38, he had some stuff there that Edmonton didn't have. He can move out of the puck, all right. You watch A&W. What's that? I'm not sure what that is. So obviously I don't. Probably wrestling? No, I don't. Okay. I don't know who Chad Dallas is. Leafs should sign Zach Smith, I suppose. You probably get him for like league minimum now. He's pretty much at the tail end of his career now. He's probably going to, for $750,000, you might want to give him a shot. But as far as the deal is concerned, they haven't come out with what the whole package was yet either. I hope not. Now that's one that I hope not. We do not need Jake Gardiner. A poor man's Barry. No. I think Duncan Keith is way better defensively than Barry was. I think Barry, I think you'll see Duncan Keith put up some actually decent offensive numbers in Edmonton because for the same reason Barry put up offensive numbers. He basically just has to get the puck up the ice and get the second defense to assist. That's pretty much what Barry did. He can help them with their power play. He can do a whole kinds of stuff like that. So I'm going to reserve my opinion of that trade until I see it really come to fruition and see it happen. By the way, really cool if you hit the like button there to get some more people in here. That helps out a lot. The Leafs want Rasmus Ristolainen. I don't know. They better be able to work with him because his defensive game needs a lot of work yet still. He did have a better defensive year last year than I think he's had his whole career. But, yeah, a little pricey. Again, with all of these kind of trades, when you really look at it, there's not a lot out there. So if you think you can work with the guy and improve him in certain areas and stuff like that, far be it for me to say. How many times have we seen a player go from one team to another and then just totally change their whole game? Whether it's mental, like he was in Buffalo, right? So he could go to a different organization that has a different philosophy and, a different mental state of mind and help him see things that they can help him with and become like a great player because Rasmus Ristolainen has all the tools. He's a great skater. He's got a killer shot. He's big. He's aggressive. I mean, he's got a lot of advantages to his game that I think that if you could work with it, he could still become a really good defenseman. So. Oh, yeah, good idea. Road to 1K subs in the description. Maybe I'll do that. Yeah. By the way, this is a road to 1K subs, so hit the like and give me a sub because we're trying to get 1K. 1K is a big thing in YouTuber land. I start being able to get paid when I hit 1K subs. It's not all that much, but it's something. It's a start. Yeah, I don't know who's going to take PK Subban. That's it. 9.6? Who's offering Hamilton 9.6? Do I watch? No, I don't. No, I don't watch it. I don't really watch much on TV, to tell you the honest truth, other than hockey. Hockey's pretty much, when hockey's not on, I kind of leave the TV for a while. I don't think he's going to get 9.6. Not in this environment now. He could be going high just to get as high as possible, too. It's hard to say, but I suppose I should get... Did anybody hear any more details about that trade? Oh, yeah. I would hire Rick Tocchet for the penalty kill. He was great at that. Yeah, I've heard of it. I just can't say that I watch it. I think Blake Coleman to Florida makes sense to me. He wouldn't have to move very far. I'm pretty sure they'd be interested to the Florida Panthers. Palmieri, I think, might go back to New Jersey, honestly. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes back to New Jersey. And Zajac. Well, I don't think they want him at $9.6 million a year, Lon. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's a good one. McGuire is no longer going to be broadcasting now. He signs with the Senators as their player development general manager, assistant general manager, player development manager. That's pretty cool. I believe Blake Coleman has made it clear he's not really big on going to Canada. He loves America. I think he's from Dallas. So, somewhere in that area would probably be good for him. But, I mean, this is going to be his time to get a payday. So, yeah, it's going to depend on what kind of money he wants. I can't see Tampa being able to afford him again, though. I think it would be a good move for the Boston Bruins if they can bring him in. I don't know how much cap space they're going to have after all this, but that seems to make the most sense to me, actually, Bill T, is Tarasenko to Boston. I got to get back to doing videos again, and I was going to do a video on where Tarasenko might go. The thing is, it's completely dependent on his injury situation. They're going to have to talk to the doctors and see exactly what's reasonable for him to get back to as a player after having 2 shoulder injuries in a row. But at $7.5 million, I think that's a pretty big risk. It just makes sense in a lot of ways if they don't sign Hall, or if they do sign Hall. Like, how are they going to fit all this in the cap? That's what I don't understand. Is are they going to force? St. Louis might be forced to have to retain salary. I suppose if St. Louis can retain salary, it makes it more logical for Boston. Especially if they plan on... I heard they might even let DeBrusk just walk over to Seattle. I don't think it would cost them much to get him. And then that DeBrusk money could go towards Tarasenko if St. Louis retains half. And then if he can still be a 25-goal scorer, I suppose it makes some sense. Perry's almost certainly going back to the Montreal Canadiens. Now, that would depend, of course, on if Perry wants to play for league minimum again. But from what I understand, they're both pretty motivated to get back, to stay in Montreal. So, Kuzi to Seattle. We had a really good one for Kuznetsov that I think makes a lot of sense. And that was, they might have a difficult time moving Marc-Andre Fleury's contract. Washington could certainly use a Vezina-level goaltender there. I would think that would be like, you might as well go for it. So we had Kuzi, I think this was E-Money and I. We had Kuzi going to Vegas for Fleury, Marc-Andre Fleury. Now, I believe Fleury would have to agree to that, but I think it's pretty likely that he would, considering the vicinity of Washington to PA. And, of course, he spent a lot of time in the PA area with Pittsburgh. So, Alex Killorn to the Leafs. The thing with all these ones to the Leafs is where are they getting the cap room for all of this? That's the thing. I mean, yeah, sure, it could make sense, Killorn to the Leafs. But where are they going to get the cap room? Because then Tampa's not going to be taking any money back. You know, Tampa needs, if they're trading Killorn, they're trading him to remove the salary completely, because they are way over the cap. So Toronto would have to look at moving someone else out, or, you know, who would he replace? I heard that Buffalo was very interested in Killorn. That makes sense. And Tampa Bay could probably get some decent assets there out of Buffalo for Killorn. Killorn to Carolina, that makes some sense for sure. Again, they have the cap room. Tampa could get some significant assets, and they wouldn't have to take, I don't believe, any cap space back. So it's a possibility, but isn't Carolina pretty stacked up the left side or on the wings? Like, they literally would not want another body back. So I'm pretty sure it would be nothing but, you want at least 2 seconds out of that. You got Nino Niederreiter. Okay, you would replace Fogle. You let Fogle go, and you'd have Killorn. That would be a lot of cool depth. Plus, he's got 2 cups. It'd be a great acquisition. The question is, what is Carolina going to pick? Going to give up? I think they'd be able to work the league enough to get 2 seconds out of Killorn. Something like that. Yeah, so I think Gaudreau is going to be all over the place. It's really going to depend on where Gaudreau wants to go, because I think there's going to be a long list for Gaudreau there. Oh, yeah, he's going for surgery tomorrow. I just have a feeling that he's going to retire. We'll see if I'm right, but I have a feeling he's going to retire after all this. Gaudreau to the Rangers, you say? Makes sense. Makes some sense. It would be after the expansion draft, I would think. But like I said, I think, what's their cap? They got a lot of cap space, right? $22 million. They got some big ones to sign next year. Capo Caco, yeah, they could definitely do it. It's certainly a type of player. Barclay Goodrow would be certainly the type of player they would be looking for as a forward. I think they more want to add to their defense, but they don't really have guys that play like Barclay Goodrow on the Rangers. So that certainly does make some sense. But I think you can say that about a lot of teams in the league for Barclay Goodrow. I think Barclay Goodrow could end up getting paid pretty darn good. And if he wants to go to the Leafs, I imagine he'd be able to go there because he's from Aurora, Ontario. So that's definitely a possibility. I got to just remind you again to hit that like button if you could, guys. That would be great. Let me get back to see you guys again. Lundqvist or Craig Anderson? But Whitechell, yeah, I think like you, I go down the list. I mean, I don't know if there's a team that wouldn't be interested in Barclay Goodrow or Coleman, really. There might be teams that just don't have the cap space and it wouldn't matter. I mean, Vancouver would be interested. Detroit would probably be interested. Like, just name a team, I think. Who do you think both need to retire? Lundqvist or Craig Anderson? I think Craig Anderson probably may retire, but I mean, I'm sure he's not going to turn down $1 million if you want to make him a backup goaltender. Lundqvist, I haven't heard anything about Lundqvist, except last I heard is he said he was going to try to play this year. But whether he's going to be able to do that or not, I'm not sure. He seemed pretty confident he would, and at this point, Washington Capitals have his rights. So Ledoux, I don't think Ledoux will ever play in the league. I'm surprised Ledoux hasn't gone off to Europe by now. I think Chara can still play one more year. He's just got to be a 5'6". He's a good 5'6". Yeah, Weichel, you keep on saying helm to the Leafs. Maybe you never know. Is who good? Ledoux? He was, I mean, he's a guy who never made it. He played in the Edmonton Oilers organization, played a couple games when the Oilers were really, really bad. Then I believe he went to Tampa and then to LA and hasn't played too much in either organizations. I might be missing some teams there, but he never made it. His skating wasn't all that great. He had a pretty good shot, but I'm surprised he hasn't gone to Europe by now. I'm surprised he hasn't realized by now that he's probably not going to be making it into the NHL. Nail Yakupov has not been able to make it in the KHL. He keeps on getting booted from every team in the KHL. I doubt anybody's going to give the guy a chance, unless he's grown up, because he is one immature guy. He was one immature guy. I mean, when Brian Burke is saying that he was the worst draft interview he'd ever had, he said he would never have him on his team. And the scout that was with them, one of the scouts that was with them, wanted to punch him in the head. He was like an absolute idiot. Apparently. I don't like to be rumors, but that was straight out of Brian Burke's mouth. It was a third rounder and Caleb Jones. And no salary retained. I mean, that just seems a little bit much to me. We'll see what happens, though. I mean, I'm going to give Holland the benefit of the doubt here because I actually thought Keith played pretty well last year. How much of a decline is there going to be? Hard to say. And like I said, the Edmonton Oilers have a terrible time getting free agents. All I know is this signing better not stop them from getting a top-line right winger because that would be terrible. Yeah, he posted it to his channel. Yeah, Nail, I don't know. Anybody can mature and change. You got to wonder if a guy ever could. Because he had all the talent in the world, but he just was an arrogant jerk. He thought he was better than everybody, and he just rubbed everybody the wrong way. He went to the KHL, and he got kicked off. Not kicked off, but he basically, as soon as his contract was up, he went to like 3 teams. The Sharks, I'm sure they're trying to make trades. I just don't know what trades they're going to be able to make. I'm hearing that there's been a lot of complaints about Evander Kane there in San Jose again. Who's going to trade for that guy now? I mean, on the ice, he's a 25, 30 goal scorer. But, I mean, this guy must be an absolute idiot in the room because everywhere he goes, he gets complained about all the time. It's amazing. Caleb Jones is a brother of Seth Jones, yes. And Chicago has been on the prowl, apparently, for Seth Jones. So that certainly could help their cause. Maybe make it so, Seth Jones would be much more likely to sign there if they have his brother already. So big possibility there. Big possibility. I've heard many rumors about Seth Jones going to Chicago. So maybe makes it more likely. Would be interesting. Chicago is funny. Bowman is a great general manager. His son, of course, Scotty's still in the organization. He does a lot of stuff there. He still has he's probably one of the most brilliant minds that ever was part of hockey. But he brings in some pretty weird defensemen. That, I mean, I would have thought he would have been more analytically driven than he is. He had Ole Mata he brought over for Pittsburgh. That didn't work out. He ended up going to LA, who also seems to be analytically driven. They think that they can get the best out of this guy. Seth Jones, if you haven't heard, has not been what you call an analytics darling for a while. So they're going to want to work with them, and because he's got all the tools. He's big, he's fast, he's got offensive talent, he's got a big shot. I mean, in his first 2 years and his first year in Columbus, he did really well, but it's been kind of all downhill since then. Hot Takes Hockey thinks it's stupid. Okay. I can't say I think it's stupid. I understand why he would think that, but I do think $5 million is a lot to give up in this situation. But I think Hot Take Hockey, John, who I really respect a lot, I think he would be saying this in this, like, you could use this money better somewhere else. The problem is people, like I've said before, he might have a pulse on the market out there, and it's possible nobody wants to go to Edmonton. It's like people just don't want to go to Edmonton. It's really hard for Edmonton to draw free agents. So I'll have Peyton on, I'm sure, this week, and we'll talk about this. By the way, tomorrow night, I'm going to be on tomorrow evening from 5:30 to 7:30 Mountain. So we can have some evening chat tomorrow. I won't be doing it during the day tomorrow. It'll be in the evening. San Jose Sharks are trying to trade Martin Jones. I don't know. They would have to give up a pick. They would have to give up a pick to get rid of Martin Jones, I believe. And I don't think they have all that many picks to give up. Yeah, I'll have Peyton on this week. I'm sure Peyton will have it. I know Peyton hates it. I forgot. I know Peyton hates it already. He already talked about it. He said he hates it. Like off the wall, like hot take hockey says, he hates it. I'm pretty sure of it. I'll probably do a video about it tomorrow. Did Kaprizov say he's going back to the KHL for sure? Did Kaprizov say he's going back to the KHL for sure? I think it's just a ploy. They got to sign him. To tell you the honest truth, I don't blame him. You got Panarin out there making $11 million right now. I'd have to hear what the numbers are. But you might as well sign him to Panarin numbers right now. He's pretty much as good as Panarin. You know, like at the end, if you give him $11 million for 8 years, at the end of that contract, it's going to look like not gold. Hey, Mercer, how you doing? Get some Mercer chat in the hype. We got like 7 people in here listening, but only 2 people like it. So you might, I'm sure there's more than 2 of you that like the channel. 8 million plus is nothing, man. I'd be all over it. Are you kidding me? Maybe he wants $8 million, but he doesn't want to sign 8 years. Maybe he wants $8 million for as a bridge deal. That might be a little dicey, I suppose. But I'd be looking at, if I could get him $10 million for 8 right now, I'd be all over it. Yeah, I'm sure if he wants $8 million, it's probably a bridge. We have, but we can continue talking about it. What do you think about it, Mercer? What do you think about the deal? We gotta look. Who's getting bought out? Well, going back to the Oilers, Koskinen is almost certainly getting bought out. Probably James Neal too for the Oilers. Probably James Neal. Yeah, I think you and I, Kyle, are the only ones that see that, you know, Keith actually played really well last year. I do think that they'll help the Oilers. I just think that over $5 million for 2 years is pretty rich for a 38-year-old, regardless. That's the problem I have. As long as they're able to fit in a good, solid winger and a third line center, I'll let him. As long as he didn't hang himself on here, we need a third line. The Oilers need a third line center, and they most certainly need a winger, but definitely a third line center. I don't know anything about Major League Baseball, so I'm probably not going to do that. The Steel Flyer, people in the Steel Flyers network, we're growing so much that we're going to have people doing Major League Baseball, all the baseball teams, all the football teams, all that stuff like that. So we're going to have every team, every sport done. So somebody in the Steel Flyers network will. We're just growing right now. So hopefully that'll happen soon. I don't think Caleb Jones is going to play. I'm not as high as Caleb Jones as some people here in Edmonton are. I think the big thing about the Caleb Jones acquisition is that they're trying to get Seth Jones. In which case, because his brother is there, they'll be more likely to be able to get Seth Jones. Yeah, for sure D'Angelo's getting bought out. We were going to look at some buyout contracts, so let's go take a look at that. Some buyouts. Jake Virtanen will probably get bought out. I don't. Zach Parise, but you get like nothing. It doesn't help you much to buy him out. They're gonna have to find a trade partner, bring back another bad contract or something. I don't know. Possible that, yeah, like I said, James Neal. If you look down every team, I wonder, like, there's probably going to be teams that take a player to buy him out so they can get draft picks, like, Detroit, Seattle, New Jersey, Buffalo, Arizona. They'll trade for a player that needs to be bought out, get a draft pick out of it, and then buy them out themselves because they don't need to. They got the cap room to do it. So I think a lot of those buyouts, ones that you're talking about, will get traded, and so they don't have to buy them out themselves, and they give up a third or a second round pick, which is still valuable. But I think at this point, the cap space is probably more valuable than the picks a lot of the times. How much? I think Kyle Okposo's got a lot. Yeah, I still think Keith is better than Barry, to tell you the honest truth. Watch how many points he gets next year. Because Barry got a lot of second assists and stuff like that. Power to Caps. How is the Caps going to get power? I'm pretty sure he's going to be going to Buffalo, if that's who you're talking about, the number one pick this year. How's that going to be? He got 15 points in 56 last year. I'm going to say he gets 30 points. It depends how much they play him. I'm going to say he gets 30. Over under 30. What do you guys think he's going to get next year? What do you guys think Duncan Keith will get in his first full year as an Edmonton Oiler? I'm sure they do want to do that. They'd have to give up some serious picks for them to do that. How much does Okposo have on his contract? I think they'll just keep Okposo because they're not going to be anywhere near the cap. And I don't think they're going to want to give up picks to get rid of them. And a buyout doesn't really make all that much sense. $6 million, they could, I suppose. But they don't really need the cap room. I think they'll just keep them. $25 points. Lord says 15. Duncan Queef. I think he'll get, I'm going to say 30. I think you're underappreciating the talent that he's going to be playing with. Just getting the puck out of the zone. He'll probably get 15 points just getting the puck out of the zone. Just getting it on a McDavid stick. Weichel says 40 points. Wow, that'd be something. The Edmonton Oilers would sure look good if that happened. That's for sure. The Edmonton Holland would look like a genius if he pulls 40 points next year as a 38-year-old. Yeah, if they're playing him a lot with McDavid and Draisaitl and, on the power play, I don't know if they'll play him on the power play or not. Maybe not, but who else are they going to play on the power play now? They don't really have anybody else. So I think he'll probably end up playing on the power play. So, and I don't think he played on the power play much in Chicago. They were playing a bunch of those younger guys more. Yeah, the protection lists are coming out soon. Hey, Money, how you doing, buddy? The protection list will be out soon. I think that'll be pretty interesting. I bet we're going to see a lot of surprises on there. Do I think Matthews is better than Draisaitl? Man, I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes. He's got one of the sickest shots I've ever seen. There's not one part of Draisaitl's game. Draisaitl played pretty poorly defensively last year, but that could have been for a lot of reasons. But I think Matthews has just got the sickest shot, right? I'm going to say yes, yeah. And Matthews is underrated defensively too. He's very good defensively, so for sure. I would say Matthews is better than Draisaitl. Yeah, Draisaitl's a pretty darn good passer. I don't think Matthews is a poor hustler. And sometimes, Draisaitl gets overplayed a lot. So sometimes he doesn't look like he's hustling, but a lot of that is just because he's playing a ridiculous amount of minutes. I doubt Foligno will go back to the Leafs unless he wants to take less money that he would get somewhere else. I have a feeling that he would go to Minnesota to play with his brother, but maybe not. I think there'll be a lot of teams knocking on the door for Foligno. He's got that type of heart that every team is looking for. So especially teams that, didn't make, maybe like Colorado, and like I said, Minnesota, teams that maybe thought that they could use some heart and soul guys. I heard back to Montreal again, but Carolina seems to make more sense if they can find a spot for him. David Savard to Minnesota if they lose Dumba, maybe. If they lose Dumba, possibly I could see that. I believe he's from the Montreal area, but I don't think Montreal would be looking for anybody. Toronto, maybe. Yeah, you can play back there in Carolina. It does make sense. I doubt he wants to go where his other brother is there in Detroit. He'll want to go for, if he's going to play next year, he's going to want to go where he thinks he can win a cup. And Carolina, it's got to be seen as a contender still yet, or for sure, it's still seen as a contender. So, yeah, I think that's going to be like, that'll either he'll go to Carolina. I think unless Carolina doesn't want to throw any more money at one more cup, yeah. Especially if they're talking $9 million a year, I just can't see Hamilton going to the Leafs. I just can't see it. I think it's more likely he goes to New Jersey. If Hamilton wants to go to a contender, about the only one, and Lauren brought this up, is possibly if Johnson doesn't go back. It sounds like Johnson may retire, maybe Colorado. But if he wants that kind of money, he's probably going to have to go to a team that's not going to be a contender for a bit, like New Jersey. Do I think that the Blue Jackets have a bounce back season? No, I don't. But I'm not sure about Lindsay as a coach. However, there's a lot of questions to be asked there. What's Columbus going to be bringing in this offseason? But even at that, it's probably going to, if they do try to go back to going for it again, it's still going to be kind of a cluster of teammates that are getting to know each other and all that kind of stuff like that. So I find it highly unlikely. However, if they do, that Lindsay guy's got to be, probably will be up there for Coach of the Year. Back to the Blue Jackets. Yeah, I don't know if I'm David Savard, I'd only be doing that for money, I suppose. And I suppose if their family really loved it there, I guess, because it doesn't look like you're going to be getting a cup out of there anytime soon. I'm always hesitant with Kekalainen there because Kekalainen is a guy that can turn everything on his head. Guy's a bloody genius. Or at least he appears to be anyways with some of the stuff he's done. CL, how you doing, buddy? Yeah, and I guess with Tortorella not there, it's a little easier to put that behind you, right? David Savard to the Panthers. Yeah, anybody that's in Tampa Bay might have a chance at going to Florida, especially they could use defense, especially if they can get rid of Stroman somehow. Because I don't think that they plan on using Stroman too much. If they can find a way to get rid of Stroman, maybe David Savard makes some sense there in Florida for sure. But as it is, I know the Florida Panthers have an internal cap. So it's not about what the actual cap is. It's what their internal cap is. And I don't know what that is. I don't know what their internal cap is. They don't really go around telling you that. That is a really good question. How many points do I see the Sabres getting next year? I mean, I get a funny feeling about that team. I really like Granato, what he did with them in the second half last year. A lot of guys started playing the best I've ever seen them play in Buffalo, like Casey Middlestat and who else was there? Kozans, Tage Thompson. But I think it's pretty much, I think they're probably about maybe, 60 to 70 points, something like that. And it depends on what they get for a goaltender. As of right now, they don't even really have a goaltender in Buffalo. So, and if they can't sign Allmark back, there's a lot of questions to be answered in Buffalo before I could really say how many points that they're going to get. Are they going to decide to tank? Don't even bother get a goaltender, tank for 2 years, and then build it up real quick? Because next year, of course, the year after next, you've got some pretty darn good Bedard and what's his name, Mishka or whatever? Frederik Andersen to the Buffalo Sabres. That makes some sense. Good one. They could take, if they can't find a goaltender to go there. Michkov, yeah. Who was it the Sabres had from SPHL? From the Swedish Hockey League or the ECHL? A good question. Let me see. You can't get nothing for a check, I don't think. Southern Pro Hockey League. Did Jacob Bryson play down there? No, he played NCAA. Was it a goaltender? That was probably a goaltender. No? Carter Hutton. That's a good question. I'm not sure. I'm looking it up here. It wasn't Dustin Tokarski, was it? I know he's played all over the place. But I don't know if he ever played in the ECHL. No, he never played in the ECHL, Dustin Tokarski. I don't think you can get a D-man for Voracek of any value. More than likely, they're going to have to staple a first-round pick to him and get Seattle to take him, and then you can use that $8 million to get somebody. But, like, any defenseman you would get back for Voracek, I imagine, would be just as bad of a contract as Voracek's. Unless somebody wants to do something really stupid out there. I mean, Voracek is a 60 to 65 point guy. But at $8 million, he's a declining asset. So you would have to get another declining asset draft player back that's right around the same. Like maybe the San Jose Sharks might give you like maybe Brent Burns, but I would rather have Brent Burns. Brent Burns is 36 years old, so Fletcher's going to screw it up regardless. Holy smokes. That's not like you talking smack about your team. Yeah, I'm not sold on Fletch either, dude. So we'll see what he does. But I think they're going to have to give a pick or something to Seattle to get rid of that contract. I think that's the only way they're going to be able to do it. But I heard the rumors about that they've worked out a deal. They've talked to each other, and they both agree that it's time to move on. So how that's going to happen, I don't know. I seriously can't see a team making that kind of a move. Without giving something back. Maybe something will surprise us. I mean, he does get 50 to 60 points. Let's remember, it's 50 to 60 point players don't just grow on trees. So it would have to be a team that's pretty stacked on D, that needs offense, and it's not a great contract we'd be getting back in return. Florida, doubt it. I just don't see too many places for him, especially for a defenseman. Yeah, you might be like, you got to hope that there's some general manager out there that isn't too bright. I think that's what you really need to hope for. It's a declining asset. I was just looking here, trying to find some team that would be able to give up something for Voracek. You might be able to get like, no, not Dustin Brown. Wow, there's not much there. I just trying to think of a team that could use a winger. That wouldn't even care if it's a declining asset. So it would be a team that really needs, like, maybe the New York Islanders for Nick Leddy. You could get Nick Leddy back. Oh, but then, I mean, he's got $8 million for 3 years. Wow. What other contract did you take back? Yeah, man. The Islanders couldn't even make that deal. for Nick Leddy because he's got too many. They're too capped out. Tough to move. It's going to be tough to move him. Yeah, next year that Brad Lambert from Finland, Shane Wright, and Matthew Savoy, all very, very good-looking players for sure. Buffalo would do well to crap the bed this year and get guys like that. Arizona is probably going to get one of them for sure. I think Arizona is going to be horrible next year. Oh, shoot, look at that. It's doggy time. All right, we'll come back here after this, and we'll just continue talking about off-season stuff. Come up with some stuff for us to bring up. What did somebody just say here? Yeah, right is franchise level. Okay. Let's do doggy time and we'll be right back.
Greetings. This is Steel Flyers from the Steel Flyers All Sports Network, and we have two very special guests. We are delighted to be joined by Tracy Musser and Nicole Howard from the Canine Country Club Resorts. Tracy and Nicole are both managers for CCC Resorts and work at the Windsor or at the club, one of two locations both in Manheim, Pennsylvania. Congratulations on your 30th year anniversary of being in business. Let me start off by saying this. Steel Flyer stands behind this company 100%. Taking care of Steel Flyer's furry friend for the last 2 years now, and they are a one-stop shop for everything your furry friend needs. In fact, let's find out what our friends at CCC Resorts offer. Nicole, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Doing great, thank you. What are some of the great boarding services that you guys offer, and what do we have to do in order to get our furry friends taken care of when we are unable to travel with them?
Well, we like to bring everybody in for a tour first. That way they can see the behind the scenes, they can see where they stay, they can see where they play, and then we explain all of the fun things that we can add on to their reservation, whether it be one of our packages, either a nature walk, a ball time, or even a cuddle time.
Oh, wow, that sounds great. Boy, it sure sounds like a resort to me. So how are you today, Tracy?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Tracy, tell me, is it true that you guys have both an indoor and an outdoor pool at the Windsor location?
It is true. We've got one of each, so we're able to offer year-round swimming. The indoor pool is a great option for dogs who are swimming for therapy or rehab. It's got that sloped entry so they can wade into the water. Our outdoor pool is a little bit larger, and it's 4 foot deep the whole way across. And both of them are saltwater pools, so it's really easy on the dog's skin and coat.
Wow, that's very awesome. So then during the summer months, you have a much deeper pool outside and then a sloped entry shallow pool indoors for the dogs. Tracy, tell the folks how we can get some pool time.
Well, the first thing everyone does is come for an intro swim. We use that time to make sure the dog is comfortable in the water. We make sure they know how to get out of the pool safely, and we go over all the pool rules and etiquette with the clients as well. After that, they're able to schedule private appointments where they have the pool to themselves, or they can invite friends and have a whole group swim going on.
So after a dip in the pool, then it would have to be off to the groomers, right? I mean, our furry friends cannot go out looking their best. Nicole, what are some of the great services your top-notch groomers provide?
Our groomers, they specialize in full service grooms. We can do the basics, whether it be just a bath and a brush out or a blowout. Or for the extra pampered pooches, we can do nail dremels, we can do deodorizing soaks, and also facials.
Wow, man, that sounds like a resort if you ask me. Tracy, I know one of the main programs here at CCC Resorts is the WAGS program. The Steel Flyers dog is enrolled in this program. So why don't you tell the folks what is involved in this and how they can get enrolled?
Yeah, the WAGS program is our primary daycare option at the Windsor. It's designed to be a structured program for people who are looking for a set routine for their dog. They all come on the same days each week, which allows them to have set friends, and we know exactly what's going on with each group. So we do a little bit more activities and we build more into their daily routine there. But we've got other daycare options as well for people looking for a little less commitment. We do an hourly care where you can drop them off and just pay by the hour. We also do a day stay option, which is great for the dogs that prefer human friends instead of making friends with other dogs. And then we have a traditional daycare option as well if you're looking for the occasional outing for your dog.
Wow, there you have it. A full service groomer, a daycare program, and an indoor and outdoor pool. What more could you ask for? Sure seems like CCC Resorts has everything covered. Remember, DOG, depend on God.
Hello, we're back again. All right, we'll get into all the other stuff we were talking about here. There's like so much. Who will miss the playoffs next year? We were talking about it before, and it seems like we're not the only ones. Now, Montreal may surprise us, but I would say the Montreal Canadiens are going to miss the playoffs. Right now, I got to say the Montreal Canadiens are likely going to miss the playoffs. But who else is going to miss the playoffs next year? Geez, we got so much. Arizona. You got to figure Arizona is going to miss the playoffs next year. Philadelphia is going to be tight. It all depends on Carter Hart. It almost doesn't matter what they do in the offseason, I think, Philadelphia. If Carter Hart doesn't turn it around, you might as well just sell everything off and start all over again. It's really looking bad on the Philadelphia Flyers because Hextall would not bend and said that Carter Hart was not psychologically ready and was not mature enough yet to play as a number one. They didn't listen to him. In fact, they fired him because he refused to bring him up. And now where are they? So Hextall's looking pretty darn good. I doubt the Leafs would miss the playoffs because they're a good regular season team. I mean, I think the Boston Bruins could miss depending on what they do in the offseason. If they don't get Hall signed up, if they lose Krejci, if they don't add to that defense because they're so young and get more depth, Boston Bruins can miss the playoffs next year. I think Ottawa could be a better team than the Bruins. They were poor in all areas, but they can't be poor in goal. They just can't. They can't. They can't be poor in goal. Once the goaltending goes, everything seems to fall apart around a team. Vancouver, that's sure. I think Vancouver can make it. I mean, you've got so much talent there. Even though it appears that the general manager makes some really big mistakes, let me bring up Vancouver here. Like you got Besser, JT Miller is still good, Bo Horvat. It appears Jake Virtanen's time with Vancouver is up. Tanner Pearson, questionable contract, but he's still serviceable. And you got Nils Hoglander, played an awesome year last year. Like, their top six, Peterson is a beast. And Besser is only getting better too. So you got a possible 40-goal scorer in Besser. Let's face it, he got 23 goals and in 56 games played. That's a 40-goal pace. Bo Horvat is one of the most underrated forwards in the league right now. 26 years old, he's a possible Selke future guy. Not only that, they got a high pick this year, although that player probably won't play next year. And Elias Peterson is only 22. Like, he's got 100-point potential. Plus, almost point-a-game Brock Besser. Their problem, of course, is defense. Quinn Hughes is great. Nate Schmidt, apparently they're trying to find a place for Nate Schmidt. I heard there was Nate Schmidt for Larson, Ekman Larson trade in the works, which would make them better now for sure. But that contract's an albatross a bit. But they need defense. Tyler Myers and Jack Rathbone and those kind of guys like that. Like, they need defense if they're going to make it next year, I think. They've got the offense, yeah. It's always going to be, hey, you're switching to baseball now, Devondra. All right. Wait till we have baseball going on the Steel Flyers Sports Network. But I think it's still very possible. And then I didn't even mention Demko. Demko is a beast, man. Demko alone, as long as they can just get some defense, Vancouver, but right now with the defense the way they're looking right now, however, I do believe in their division they are in, they should be able to make the playoffs, I think, still. I still think they should make the playoffs. Oh, that's... I gotta look it up here. So yeah, it's going to be Anaheim, Calgary, Edmonton, Los Angeles, Seattle, Vancouver, Vegas. It's going to be tough. Vegas, probably, yes. Edmonton should make it. Los Angeles should make it. Yeah, Vancouver. I don't think Seattle makes it. I don't think San Jose makes it. San Jose could almost make the playoffs next year in that division, though. That's going to be the one they'll be fighting with, likely. And then we'll see what Seattle does, but I don't think they're going to have a very good team, not like Vegas. I don't think they're going to be doing what Vegas did. You think Winnipeg does not make the playoffs next year? Really? Why would you? Okay, let me look at that. Winnipeg is that's a tougher division. Yeah, Chicago, Colorado. I think I don't think St. Louis makes the playoffs next year. You heard it here first. I think Colorado, Dallas, Minnesota, and I agree with you on Winnipeg if they don't do anything with that defense. But then Nashville, it's like it's going to be so tight between Nashville, Winnipeg, maybe Chicago. I don't know what Chicago's going to do with that green team for an 82-game schedule. That might be pretty tough. Tampa won't make the playoffs next year. I'm pretty sure Tampa will make it next year, no problems. Why do you think Winnipeg won't make the playoffs next year? Do you think Hellebuck's going to have a bad year? Just not enough. They won't be able to get the defense they need. I think Winnipeg should make it. I think St. Louis maybe doesn't make it next year. Nashville is weird because Hines had them playing such a defensive game. Nashville is sort of like the Islanders of the West Division, the Western Conference. Saros was insane last year. What's Poyle gonna do with this team? I hear they're trying to get Seattle to take Johansson, and they're offering up this year's first for Seattle to take Duchesne. They're going to give them this year's first. So then it would really depend on what they do with that cap room to see what them make the playoffs. But I didn't like them making the playoffs last year, and they rebounded so well. I'm a little hesitant now because, of course, you can give me a trade prediction, Bill T. Of course, that's what this is all about here, for sure. Very good point, John Whitejewel. If they don't get another goaltender in Toronto, and I hear this is their number one priority is to get a goaltender in Toronto, because if right now if Campbell gets injured or has a bad year, you're right, Toronto doesn't make the playoffs next year. I don't care how good their offense is. I agree with you. The Panthers should make the playoffs next year, yeah. It's going to be kind of tough to play the way they do for a full 82. It'd be really good to get some skill in there for the regular season to get some power play guys and stuff like that. But I think they should make the playoffs next year, yeah. That would depend a lot on what the Spencer Knight does. If Bobrovsky's got to be at least average. There are some things that have to happen for Florida to make the playoffs. I wouldn't call them a shoo-in, but I'd like to hear your trade prediction, Bill, for sure. Chuck it at me, buddy. Give up Frederick, a first rounder. I don't think they need to give up that much, Bill. I mean, that would definitely do it. If they gave up DeBrusk, a first rounder, and Frederick, that would definitely get Tarasenko. But at $7.5 million a year, and him being injured all last year, I don't think they have to give up that much. I think just DeBrusk could do it. I think they could get Tarasenko for just DeBrusk. No first rounder, no nothing, just DeBrusk. I think they could get him for just DeBrusk. And I don't think anybody's going to offer more than that, honestly. Detroit, I can't see them not being better next year. Jacob Verana there, getting a full year in. Just Zadina's he's got to be hitting that point where he'll hit his stride. Svechnikov last year looked a lot better than he's ever looked in his career. He may be ready to progress. This is off the top of my head. I haven't looked it up. Then they have, some of their defensemen should be stepping up. Oh, what's that one guy? I always forget. The German. And I think they may add this year even. Michael Rasmussen. Either they'll use him in a trade. I really like the guy. I don't know. I never thought he was going to be a huge offensive guy. But he's making he's 6'6". 221 pounds. There's no reason why he can't be a Boyle or somebody like that for somebody. But Philip Hronek, of course, will be new. It's just their defense is still pretty weak. Danny DeKeyser is pretty much done after this year. Yeah, it's the defense. If they really want to add to their defense, I don't see them as a playoff team, but they got to get better because they just have too many young guys that should be stepping up into bigger roles and doing better next year. Not to mention they've got a lot of prospects coming up that could surprise too. Moritz Seider was the guy I was talking about. He's been ripping it up in Europe. Jonathan Sabrango. Who the heck is that? I just like the name. I'm going to check it out. Okay, he's not ready yet. There was a couple guys that that should be ready there in Detroit. Jonathan Bergen, Theodor Niederbach, all these guys you probably never heard before, but any one of those guys could surprise. Berggren he had 45 points in 49 games last year in the Swedish Elite League. He's going to get a really good chance to get a look. So I think they'll be better. Still not a playoff team, though. Stevie Yzerman's being really cautious, really patient, getting as many prospects. He wants to build a dynasty there for sure. You were reading an article on Puckline that they had that prediction for, I think that's too much, but I don't think they're going to have to give up that much for Tarasenko. I respect whoever that was, that Puckline website or whatever, but we'll see if I'm right or not. But I don't think they're going to have to give up that much. I think that's an overpayment. To get Eichel, it's going to cost you McAvoy, CL. McAvoy or Panarin. I don't think, if they don't give up either one of them, I just don't think they have enough in the cupboard to compete with LA, the Rangers, Minnesota. I just don't think they have built up enough of a prospect pool to do that. Bobby Ryan to the Leafs. That makes sense. He apparently does want to play next year, too. I don't know. McAvoy should win at least one Norris. I mean, wow, McAvoy for Eichel. That's a tough one, man. I guess I'm really high on McAvoy. You better make darn good sure that surgery is okay. Because, man, that would be terrible if it wasn't. Oh, did he? They signed Dean Chenoweth as assistant coach. He was assistant, I believe, in Boston and the New York Islanders. Should be a good pickup. He's got lots of experience. Vegas wants Jack Eichel, but I don't think Vegas is going to have to take Theodore, Carlson, and then it's downhill from there for them to have that. I don't know. They just don't have enough in the cupboard to get Eichel. They don't have enough on that team to get Eichel. I don't know. I really love McAvoy. I'm straight across. I think as long as I know Eichel's healthy, I would have to. I think I'd have to make that trade. Yeah, McAvoy for Eichel, and then I'd have to work on getting some defense. But the Boston needs it. You're not winning now, though. If you do that deal, you're probably not winning now. You don't think Eichel would be at his best in Vegas? Why do you say that? That's weird. Zero. I doubt they could afford Krug at what he. That's the reason why they let Krug go. Was because of what he wanted for his salary. What did he get? Like $8 million, didn't he? And he's been, he's had it tough in St. Louis, but St. Louis really is fading fast. Oh, he got 6.5. Yeah, kind of tough giving up on Krug at $6.5 million. That's not a bad amount of money, really. I see why. He got the same money as Justin Falk, and he's better than Falk. But then they got to pay Parayko here pretty soon, too. So I don't think the Islanders are all that deep in assets, CL. To get. Are you talking about getting Eichel, CL? Matt Murray to Seattle, they'd have to give up a pick. I would if I were them. I would give up a pick to get rid of that Matt Murray contract and try to sign a different goaltender. And they must still believe that he's going to turn it around there, but I don't know. He'd be with Pacioretty and Stone. I mean, it seems pretty beastly to me. If he went to Vegas, he'd be with Stone and Pacioretty. Yeah. I don't know if Taylor Hall's going to get $7 million in Boston. When you're saying you want something, I mean, every player or agent is going to say their client wants a certain number. It doesn't mean that's what they're going to get. They're not going to go, okay, we want 5, and then expect to get 5. They want 7, but they'll go down to 6.25 or something like that. It depends on how many years he wants to be there. How many years does Boston want him to be there? How many years are they willing to give him? Is Toronto serious? Which I can't see them being serious, because wouldn't they want to invest money into their defense by now instead of getting Taylor Hall? Phil Kessel back to the Bruins? Yeah, I don't think that's ever going to happen. That would be something else, but they did not like Phil Kessel's work ethic, obviously. And his work ethic doesn't appear to have changed. I mean, Phil Kessel got almost on a 30-goal pace again last year. He doesn't play defense worth the darn, but he can get you 25, 30 goals. Depending on how fast his body breaks down, after really not appearing to take care of it all that much for several years. Yeah, for Krug to go back, I'd say no. I don't even know if Krug would want to come back after all that went down. It's hard to say, but it doesn't really make sense to let a guy go to try to do a youth movement and then bring him back. Boston's got to either make up their mind. Are they going to win now, or are they going to have a youth movement? These teams that sit on the fence trying to figure, okay, we're just going to sort of do a rebuild, but sort of not do a rebuild or whatever. It appears to me that what Boston is doing a rebuild. And they're just using the veterans there to when they bring in these young players, to teach them to become champions. Sooner or later, I think Marchand and Bergeron will catch up to the fact that Boston's on a rebuild, and Marchand will probably say, maybe it's time for me to move on. And Boston, by that time, will have been like, okay, we used their services as much as we could. Sort of like what Chicago did with the Blackhawks, where they didn't tell Taves and Keith and Kane and them that they were rebuilding, so they could show their young players what it looks like to win to play like you're winning for a championship, until Crawford contract came up and they didn't re-sign him, and then everybody's like, wait a second, I didn't know we were doing a rebuild. I think Boston's kind of doing the same thing right now. We'll see. I don't know. We'll be able to tell by what they spend on Hall and Krejci, I think. Phil will probably trade it at the deadline if he can keep his numbers. Like, if I'm another GM right now, I'm keeping my eye on Phil Kessel, see how his body holds up until the trade deadline. Basically, half the salary's gone. You might be able to fit him in. I think he's only got 1 year left, doesn't he? And then at the trade deadline, maybe you throw, because he did win a cup. He can score you goals. Still, or at least he could last year anyways. Where is Arizona? Phil Kessel. Phil Kessel's, yeah, this is last year. So just wait till the trade deadline. Maybe you can pick him up for like a third or fourth to play some neat offense, to bring offense to your team. Like, it seems like something that I'd like to say the Islanders, but I don't think they would want a lazy kind of attitude like that in their life. Maybe Nashville or, some team that's just going to add a rental to get for offense to play on the power play. Their power play is not working really well. They don't give up much. They got a little cap they can handle. And they give them like a middle round pick or a third round pick or something like that. And see if Phil can spark up some chemistry with one of their players. I could see it. Yeah, Mayfield from the Islanders wouldn't be a bad play for them. I don't know why the Islanders would let him go, though. That would be the only thing with that is, the Islanders' defense is pretty thin. They don't have all that much coming up in this way in the way of prospects. They've basically been doing really well with a team that's not all that deep for quite a while. I was always wondering when it was going to break down. Would Bergeron want out of Boston? It's possible. Wouldn't that be weird? Patrice Bergeron playing for a different team? Maybe he goes to Montreal. Oh my gosh, that would be crazy. If Bergeron went to Montreal, that would be nuts. Of course, I'm pretty sure he's from Quebec, so he would. Jordan Eberle? If they want him, they could probably have him. I've heard talk that Jordan Eberle could be left out for Seattle to take. And I'm not sure Seattle would take him. They don't need to win next year. I had arguments with the Islanders fans. They're like, well, they're going to need scores in Seattle. No, they're not. They don't need anybody in Seattle. They're going to lose the next 3 years and not mind it a bit. They don't need it. They don't need to take your cap space. You're going to have to give up something. So, if the Bruins were willing to give up something for Jordan Eberle and take the whole contract, I'm pretty sure the Islanders would be interested. So. Because Eberle is it's so hard out there with the cap right now. Eberle is not a bad player, but almost anybody that's average and has over $5 million in this environment right now, nobody wants them. The Islanders are right up to the cap. They don't have anything left for cap space at all right now. $5,700,000 is all they have in cap space right now. So, yeah, and they need a scorer for Barzal. So if they got rid of Eberle, they'd be looking for a scorer for Barzal. That's where I think Tarasenko could come in. They just might be able to take a chance on a guy might be willing to take a chance on a guy like Tarasenko. Sam Gagner, is he still playing? Is Sam Gagner going to play another season next year? The Bruins need defense. If they're not going to improve that defense, they might as well rebuild. I agree with you, Bill. There's no use going out to get Hall and all that if they're not going to get defense. I think, anyways. By the time that defense is good enough to be like winning a chance to win a cup, that whoever they sign is going to be too old, probably. It's still up in the air where if some of their players are even going to be good enough. Lazan, Boston Bruins. Lazan. Is Grzelcyk ever going to be more than a, 3-4-ish guy? I don't think so. I don't think he's a 1-2. Connor Clifton has been okay. Is Jacob Zaboral ever going to be more than a 5-6? They got Brandon Carlo. They have Charlie McAvoy. And, Jeremy Lazan, which is a 3-4. And then after that, it falls off pretty good. So, if they're not going to get defense, I say, why even bother getting Hall and all those guys like that? You might as well just kind of rebuild now. Right? Grzelcyk will be back, but I mean, how good is he really? He's just more or less a 3-4. Terry Filppula, sure. I don't know. He's got to be. Filppula's got to be pretty close to retiring too. I wouldn't say that's an answer for the Leafs. It's another soft two-way forward. They're full of those. But yeah, Grzelcyk should be back for sure. Unless somebody offers some stupid amount of, something for him in a trade or something. I'd have to agree that he will be back. Yeah, I don't know. I know Boston, I think it could be in big trouble, but I don't know what they want to do. That's the thing with Boston. I don't know what they want to do. If they want to win now, sign Hall, sign Krejci, get defense. Hope Swayman holds up and give her. If you finally realize that there's got to be a rebuild there, you got to start trading guys away. Yeah, letting guys go and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, he's really just a 3-4 though, right? Like Grzelcyk isn't a 1-2 defenseman. Patrick Nemeth? Yeah, I mean, sure. Patrick Nemeth is a 5-6 defenseman that played way higher than that in Detroit. He got to have lots of minutes there because they didn't have any defensemen. They certainly didn't have any veteran defensemen, so he's a 5-6. That is the other thing, is so many teams need defense again this year. That's why, when you get an opportunity, draft defense, draft defense, draft defense. I think draft defense all the time. You can get wingers all the time. I would draft defense all the time. Keep that cupboard full of defensemen, and you'll always be able to get your wingers and stuff like that as long as you've got a good, solid pool of defensemen. Because if you look down the league and it becomes playoff time, everybody's always looking for defensemen. Just always. Sam contract right now? Well, he's a UFA. I don't think it's that much, but I think his next one's going to be at least 8. Buffalo Sabres, Sam Reinhart. He was making, where the heck? $5.2. He was making 5.2, Sam Reinhart. Hey, how you doing? Yes, no, the Pearlo bedroom, actually. Mrs. Wisdom is home today, so I'm giving her the Seattle apartment area to peruse around today. She took 4 days off. We went on our trip there. So. Welcome, Hockey News Reports. Thanks for coming in, buddy. If you don't sign, I prefer that. If you don't sign, if Boston doesn't sign Krejci, getting Sam Reinhart would work for now and later because he's younger. The question is, what will they be able to give up in return? It's going to take more than DeBrusk, a first-round pick, Lazan. Again, I just think Boston's going to be in trouble because to get Reinhart, A, because they're in the same division. That's going to be tough. Also because I don't think they have the organizational depth. The teams like, and the vigor, I guess the word I'm looking for. Like Columbus will give almost their whole organization up for Reinhart. They need to find a center to play with Laine so they can sign Laine up. Then they can start building around that. So they're going to give up quite a bit for Reinhart. They'll probably give their first this year. They might even give them 2 firsts. Their first this year? No, they won't. No, they won't. Because next year's going to be bad too. They would probably give their first this year plus to get Reinhart, and I'm pretty sure Buffalo is going to be very interested in a trade like that. Why would you hate Jack Eichel going to Boston? I meant to say Sam Reinhart. It's just I don't think they got enough in the cupboard to get him. That's the problem, Bill. I think it's not a bad idea because it's sort of on that rebuild, retool mode. He's still a young guy and he can play in there. But, yeah, I just think there's going to be so much competition. Like, if the LA Kings are in there, I don't think Boston has a chance. If Minnesota decides they would like to have him as their top line center, I'm not sure Boston's going to be able to compete because they don't have the assets. They don't have the prospects that those guys do. Boston's in a really tough spot right now. Really tough spot. I would say Boston's in a really difficult spot. They're right in between rebuild and not rebuild, and they don't know what they want to do. If I'm them right now, you got Marchand Bergeron is still playing very, very well. You got Marchand, guys, a 100-point guy. You've got Panarin in there. I'm signing Hull. I'm signing Hull, I'm going out and finding a defenseman, maybe Savard Savard would be a good place. Drager says Stamkos could be moved. Who's going to take Stamkos in that amount of money, though? He barely got any points. That I'd have to think about that. Who's going to take Stamkos? I don't think that injury is that big of a deal. Not like Tarasenko. Tarasenko had 2 shoulder surgeries in a row. I don't think that injury is that big of a deal. It's an injury that normally doesn't need surgery. It can be rehabilitated within a couple months and get right back to where you were before, and it doesn't bother you for the rest of your career. A lot of players. The problem is Buffalo doesn't agree with them getting surgery for it, since surgery is not usually needed. So, and the old theory is the less surgery, the better. However, Eichel's doctors are saying that the surgery they're going to do is going to bring him back faster and bring him back stronger than if he didn't get surgery. It's hard. I can't say which one of those are true. I personally would try to avoid surgery as much as possible, but it's hard to say. All I know is that Eichel's doctors better be correct, or they're going to have a lawsuit on their hands. Stamkos could be moved. Who the heck would take Stamkos? What did Stamkos get for points? I mean, he's injured. Has been injured a lot his whole career. He's going to have to agree to it because he's got a no movement clause. I think he's making $8 million. He's playing wing most of the time. He's got a cap hit of $8.5 million. 3 more years left on that contract. And they're not going to want to take any money back. He got 34 points in 38 games last year. If he can stay healthy, somebody might. A point a game is nothing to sneeze at. But I do believe he's got a no movement clause. Does he? He has to. He's got to have an NMC. He's got to. Come on. Are you telling me he doesn't have a no movement clause? I just find that hard to believe. Yeah, he's got an NMC. At $8.5 million and not getting anything back, who the heck is going to be able to do that? That's still, he's got a no movement clause, so he's got to agree to the trade. I mean, I'm sure he would go to Toronto, but Toronto, how is Toronto going to afford him? Colorado, Columbus. That would be weird. So Drager said this. When did Drager say this? Yeah, they can't. How are you going to get rid of the Pegulas? They own the team, so. Where did you hear that, CL? Calgary? Yeah, maybe. Who are you going to get back? Nobody? Now, if they were to go get Stamkos, that would mean they're trying to win now. They're trying to win now. Maybe Carolina. But I mean, again, $8 million for 3 years. I don't know. That's going to be a tough contract to get rid of. Okay. Let me look up here. Drager Stamkos. Okay. Huge rumor. July 12th. According to Darren Drager of TSN, questions surrounding the future of Steven Stamkos in Tampa have once again surfaced as teams appear to be calling about his availability. The team is in absolute cap hell. As it's been well documented, they played the Stanley Cup players with The kicker here for the Lightning is the fact that both Blake Coleman and Zachary Gaudreau are pending free agents. If Stamkos is indeed legitimately available for the right price, expect almost every team in the league to have a certain level of interest. Are you forgetting they have $8 million in cap space? He's making $8 million a year and is injured often. I don't know if every team's going to have interest. I suppose they would have interest in the sense of, yeah, that would be nice if, but that's about it. The Anaheim Ducks. They're talking about the Anaheim Ducks. So that would mean that Anaheim is going to buy a whole bunch of players. Apparently Anaheim is in on Eichel. Then they go get Stamkos. That would probably eat up most of their salary cap. I can't say it can't be. I wouldn't put it past them, but the Sharks have interest, yeah. Why do you say that he will automatically sign as a, I mean, it's possible. I think it's pretty likely he would stay in Tampa. But I could also see Tampa talking to them and saying, you know what, it's been fun, but we got to move on. Especially if they can find a trade. Because Drager coming up with that from TSN. I don't know how reliable he is. Jonathan Toews to the Leafs. I don't think that's happening. He's going to play third line center for the Leafs. At $10 million per year, I doubt it. Oh my gosh, we're already at the bells here. Holy smokes, guys. All right, well, this has been awesome. Remember, tomorrow night, I'll answer that before I go. Where do I think Vanacek goes? I mean, E-Money seems to think that they're going to trade Samsonov and keep Vanacek, so. Joe Thornton too. Joe Thornton's going to play again. Joe Thornton's going to play again. I don't know. Vanacek could go to. If I'm Washington, yeah, I would be trading Vanacek, but yeah, I like the idea of trading because they got to win now, right? Like, what's the good as Samsonov right now? I like the idea of trading Kuzi to Vegas for Fleury, and then trading Samsonov for a bunch of picks, and work on getting a goaltender later when you need one. Because does it really matter? If the Capitals don't win the next 2 years, they're not going to win. So it's time to move on. Vanacek to the Leafs, I guess. I'm not high on Vanacek. Not really high on Vanacek. So, I mean, he's played okay. He's got some upside, but what's he going to do for the Leafs if they keep Campbell? He's still not your playoff goaltender you're looking for, so not sure that's a very wise move either. If I'm the Leafs, you know me the way I am. If my window's closing, I'm going after the best goaltender that I can win a cup in the next 2 years. So I'm going after Fleury if I'm Toronto. And if I got to lose some people, then I'll deal with that as I go. Trade Kerfoot. You might as well trade Campbell. You can get a different goaltender. You know, make up some cap space with guys like that. Get the best goaltender you can get. Tomorrow night, 5:30 to 7:30, I will be on Tuesday and Thursdays from now on. So that's 7:30 to 9:30 Eastern, 5:30 to 7:30 Mountain. I will be on in the evenings those 2 days from now on. Kerfoot to the Preds could make sense. I think Kerfoot goes to Seattle. I think they find Kerfoot over to Seattle. Trade Nylander and you're not trading Tavares. Okay, guys, we'll see you tomorrow. The little lady's home right now, so I'm going to go hang out with her for the rest of the day. I might be able to go a little later on my evenings. We'll see. Take care, everybody. Thanks for coming in, man. You guys rock. Okay, bye.